So we're back on the block with Frontier Opening Bell this Monday, this 6th of September. I am Bosi Nomafai on behalf of Frontier Africa Reports. I welcome all of you today. And of course, Onyeka Ijeoma, who is the head of Industrial Goods Analysis and Research at Vetiva Capital Management based in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Onyeka. Hope you had a great weekend.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Just look through the screen and you can see the 5 major bourses we cover on the African continent. On the downside, on Friday, Egyptian market, the EGX 30 on Sunday fell nearly 2%. The South African market fell by 0.4%. The Nairobi bourse fell by about 1%. The BRVM down by 0.16% on Friday. So quite a bit of a downside between Friday and Sunday when the Egyptian market started off its own market week. Today's going to be the second trading day. Let's just move on to the news, by the way, because the East African authorities are moving ahead again, because largely the news from Nairobi is that the UAE is looking to deepen trade ties in Africa and Asia. That will be $150 billion in investments. Of course, some of this will definitely hit the Kenyan market economy, by the way. And Centum Investment, annual general meeting later this month to pay 0.327 shillings as final dividend. Earnings also from Kenya Orchards as well as Home Africa. And Uganda, Bamburi Cement says it secured the mega state contracts that will help the cement company. We'll see how this will impact on the bottom line. Onyeka, let me ask you very quickly, what do you think the United Arab Emirates is looking for in Africa? $150 billion is a whole lot of money, if you ask me.
Yeah, Blessing, it's a whole lot of money, but we know that, much like, the World Bank, the IMF keeps saying, and many African economists, Africa is the last frontier for growth, and there is a lot of opportunity for investment upsides in Africa, as long as it's done well with proper risk management procedures. Because of the whole lot of shocks that come with investing in an emerging or a frontier economy. But yeah, the UAE is not the only one looking to invest these large sums of money in Africa. We're seeing, the French investment authorities, Propaco, if I get the name correctly, look to push in a lot of investment into the economy. We've seen the IMF and the World Bank continue to pump in a lot of money, and we've seen a lot of private equity firms also across the country, and venture capital firms, most especially, look to tap into the growing technology, appetite in the continent.
Interesting. Yes, Africa, as you said, is the last frontier, and it looks like if everyone can get a space, well, it doesn't matter. Everybody just wants to be part of the game moving forward, the emerging continents. Let's move on to Nigeria because the PMI slipped to 52.2 in August. July was 55.4. Just a bit of a little retracing. The Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission reporting an internally generated revenue up by 92% in full year 2020. We have an exclusive interview with the head of the NIPC, Yewande Sadiku, later tonight on television. Name Insurance is forecasting a 4.1 billion naira in fourth quarter profit. That's starting from October. And Elsewedy Electric of Egypt is looking to build $16 million substation in Ghana. And Bitumen Company, SMB, that's in Cote d'Ivoire, net income for first half of the year, 63%. Give me a few of your thoughts around our PMI numbers, Onyeka.
Yeah, it's important to note that the drop from 55.4 to 52.2 still means that there was an expansion in August. And the PMI numbers operate on an ordinal scale, and everything above 50 is an expansion, everything below 50 is a contraction. However, we are seeing a much slower expansion than in July, and it's interesting because we see that demand has remained firm and has been growing significantly throughout the year. The reduction in the PMI numbers, we believe, is just a reflection of inflation, of inflationary pressures on purchasing power and on consumer wallets, as it has impeded, basically the purchasing power of consumers to be able to buy a lot of things, and we expect that would continue. But interestingly, one statistic, one number that stood out to me in the PMI data was new orders, and we see that manufacturers continue to stock up on inventory. They've been stocking up on inventory in anticipation of a large surge in demand. In the last few months of the year, as we normally tend to see. So this gives a lot of hope and tells me that we will continue to see strong demand, in the coming months. Looking at the NIPC story.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So looking at the NIPC story. Yeah, the internal generated revenue was up by about 92% to just over 3 billion, and this is impressive because it beats 2020 numbers, and it also beats its budget by over 100%. The budgeted figure was about 1.4 something billion in terms of revenue, and they were able to surpass this largely due to servicing of pioneer status initiatives. So we recall that in 2017 we had seen the NIPC suspend, or at least grind to a halt, the issuing of pioneer status incentives to certain industries. Now, a lot of these were sort of rolled back in 2018, and we started to see a jump in NIPC revenue as servicing costs for the pioneer for the PSIs were climbing. We saw that it supported revenues in 2020. We expect it to support in 2021, especially as we see that between January and June, NIPC had already surpassed its budgeted revenue by about 7 to 10%, and it was already higher than what it was in 2020. So, it's very positive for a government agency, as we tend to see that many of these agencies are not self-sufficient. It's impressive to see that the NIPC is self-sufficient, and it also highlights the importance of appointing qualified individuals to run some of these agencies, especially from the private sector. And it's a really good example of the private and the public sector working together and sharing ideas and competencies.
You just hit the nail on
that. We see yes. And then beyond that, we see the Elsewedy Electric story in Ghana. We see that Ghana continues to try to ramp up on its already decently impressive electricity statistics. The Elsewedy Electric announced that it had received an EPC contract of about just below 17 million to build purchase parts and install a substation in Ghana. While this is not supposed to support power generation, but it will support more efficient power distribution, which is one part of the value chain that we're also dealing with a lot in Nigeria, especially with the metering assets, with the metering assets program, where we are looking to push as much prepaid meters to the general public as possible in Nigeria. And we tend to focus a lot on the utilities, on power generation here because of our power generation numbers, but it's also very important to look at the utilities and the downstream portion of the power generation. And this is something that I applaud Ghana for pushing through.
Very interesting headlines, if you ask me, from the NIPC story to the PMI. But for the NIPC, you really hit the nail on the head. You need professionals to run ministries and government agencies. I think it is time, and we can see evidence of that. Look at the NSI, for example, the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, a new board, got a third board, got a single CEO who's been there since the beginning. Uchi who's been doing a fantastic job. Records are up, reports are out, as and when due. Then you look at other agencies such as NIPC, where you have Yomande Sadiku. And then Dr. Yemi Kale, who spent 10 years at the National Bureau of Statistics, look at how much was done in the last in 10 years of Yemi Kale. And at more than 50 different data set of statistics are now on the table, helping investment decisions, helping even the government and all of that moving forward, helping the private sector, SMEs. And so I think you got it right. We need more professionals. We need more private sector professionals to handle a number of our agencies as well. Look at the consumer protection as well. But let's just move on quickly to look at the Southern African market, because the South Africa is looking to set rules that will limit or lower its sulfur in diesel fuel by the year 2023. But Virgin Mobile in business is looking to exit South Africa from the 1st of November, complaining about the tough trading conditions. And Mediclinic is looking to procure renewable energy in about 2.1 billion rand deal in Southern Africa. And the Agribank of Zimbabwe, first half, January to June, profit surged 664%. Onyeka, Zimbabwe is known as the bread basket of Africa. So I'm not sure you're not surprised at this. At Agribank, that means a whole lot of funding, a lot of credit is going to the farmers, a whole lot of work is getting done on the ground.
Yeah, definitely. It shows that a lot of credit is being pushed to the agriculture sector, which is very, very important. To supporting the agriculture sector in Africa, as we know that we have one of the least industrialized agri sectors, as a continent of all the continents. But more important is that we are seeing that these loans are performing loans, and they are seeing paybacks, and they're able to recoup most of their investments. Which is very impressive and very positive. We see that in Nigeria, the CBN has been trying to do a lot of the same things in terms of pushing out credits to farmers. The CBN has actually been quite exemplary in a lot of its initiatives, credit initiatives to the agriculture sector. However, it's still important to note that a lot of these loans, especially for the Anchor Borrowers program, which is the CBN's largest program, have not been performing. Now, the Apex Bank has put in place some procedures to ensure that some of these issues are fixed, but we are still seeing some challenges. We're still seeing some challenges, and it will be a while before we start to see very positive remittances and numbers from these initiatives. But looking at the essay story about them looking to lower the sulfur content in diesel fuel by 2023. I think that's a very interesting one, because as we know, South Africa is Africa's most industrialized economy, and is also, and by virtue of that, is Africa's largest greenhouse gas emitter. And while Africa as a whole has sort of been skating under the radar in terms of pushing out climate friendly policies, we've seen that South Africa has started to take the lead in ensuring that their future is not just industrialized, but industrialized in the right way by making a lot of climate friendly policies. A couple of months ago, the Eskom announced that it will be closing down some of its coal-fired power plants in favor of more climate-friendly power generation plants. And now we are seeing this new rule, which will basically force a lot of refineries to upgrade their facilities to ensure that they produce high-quality diesel with low sulfur content. The good news for countries like Nigeria is that we tend to produce one of our major exports, which is the bonillite, is a crude form that is already really low in sulfur, and we see in the long term some of these climate friendly procedures as net positives for demand for Nigeria's oil. However, the PIA Act is definitely coming at the right time also to help support this as long as it is well executed.
I love those points you raise around the dirty fuel, dirty energy industry. It's a whole new conversation. The whole climate issues and problems we're having with weather conditions around the world are all testimonies of how much damage has been done to the environment, the ozone layer, and what have you. So we need to change a whole lot of the way we do things. Then the Agribank in Zimbabwe is big story as well. The Virgin Mobile exiting South Africa is, for me, it's also another one big story. If you look at tough trading conditions in South Africa, maybe the big names such as Telkom and MTN kicking Virgin Mobile or taking part of Virgin Mobile's lunch, and now it's getting a whole lot tougher to trade within the Southern African community. But let's wrap it up, as always, on the northern part of the continent. The Egyptian, we talked about Elsewedy Electric earlier, but Egypt is set to host the Islamic Development Bank's annual meeting for the first time in 2022. The whole depend on a whole lot of issues around tourism, hospitality, and what have you. That's one very big international institution, the IsDB. Then the PMI up slightly to 49.8. Very surprising number that Egypt's PMI fell below the 50.0 positive reading level. And Morocco's share of the IMF special drawing right was about $1.2 billion, and that's boosting the North African economy's liquid reserves. Catholic Cement is looking at 16.1 million dinars profit after tax in first half. Onyeka, let's talk about what do you think about Egypt's PMI? This is a very heavy industrialized economy.
Yeah, I mean, we see that much like the story with Nigeria, even though this is up, the PMI has gone up from 49.1 to 49.8. It still means that there was a contraction in August in terms of manufacturers, purchasing and output, and it's very interesting given that we see, I mean, for most emerging economies coming out of the pandemic, we've seen sustained strong levels of demand, and all, especially given the amount of expansive monetary policy that has been pushed into these economies. It is interesting though, but I would say that it's not much of a cause for concern because it is really just skating along the 50 points line, and it's really just saying that not much is going on in the economy. And as I talked about with Nigeria, we are expecting that by December time, when we start to see a lot more consumer activity, we should see the PMI numbers tick upwards. So that will be something to watch.
Okay, then that will really be something to watch. We watch the PMIs. It's still a whole lot of economic data we're expecting in the month. I'm sure you have your eyes on the September Monetary Policy Committee meeting decision. It's going to be the second to the last meeting of the year, by the way. After September, you're going straight all the way to November. So we're now heading to the final month in the third quarter, and then we're posting home to the end of the year. Thank you so much, Onyeka Ijoma. Let's leave it there for this morning. It's great to have you on the show. Frontier of Nobel this Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and to the rest of our viewers, we'll see you again tomorrow. This is Frontier of Nobel. I am Bosin Amova signing off.